true, true,
True.
Yeah.
true, true,
True.
Yerp. What's good? What's good? How are you guys feeling? Good, I hope. Weather's starting to break for us. Starting to break. It was a nice, pleasant weekend, very warm. Nothing to complain about. Hopefully, you guys had a good weekend. It's early. Thing about the weekends, though, it's like they're long. I mean, that's a good thing, right? Because especially if you're a person who doesn't work on the weekends, right? So that's like your time to do any of your errands, any of your, your extracurricular activities, your recreational activities, hang out with the family, all those things. People typically do it on the weekend, right? Grocery shopping, everything, right? So for the weather to be breaking, I mean, that's kind of big, right? That's big. You can start to go outside with, for me, it's like hoodie season, right? So you have hoodie season going into the fall, and then you have hoodie season basically coming into spring. We get all four seasons here. So just transitioning from a coat to a hoodie. Then, if depending on how much it's raining, right? April showers bring May flowers, a little jacket, then switch to the straight up t shirts. That's me anyway. That's what I do. As the weather breaks, I slowly am able to just enjoy the heat, right? So hopefully you guys are able to do the same. Hopefully, again, you had a great weekend. I will say this weekend, uh, one of the things that we had a chance to do, which I thought was pretty fun, is we got to see the Mario Galaxy World movie, right? The Mario, I think it's called Mario Galaxy World. Is it Galaxy World? Super Mario Galaxy? Yeah, we saw the Mario movie. It was fire. I mean, it was a really good movie. If you've seen the first Mario, like first of all, if you're a fan of Mario, period, which if you're a gamer, I have to assume that's the case, right? Shout out to Rack in the building. If you're like a gamer or you just, I mean, you're a fan of Mario, right? So I don't have to ask you if you like Mario. But if you watch the first movie, then I think you probably caught a lot of things in there that was like, yeah, this is fire. They could easily keep going because you know how many Mario games exist, right? You know how many crossovers Mario has been a part of. If they continue this trend, I mean, this is a W franchise. What's good, Rack? How you feeling? Yeah, that intro. I've been refining that intro for a minute, so For anyone who's been around for a while, you know that that intro has been a work in progress. And I mean, I mess with it. You know what I'm saying? Talking about the movie, right? So I was saying I saw the second Mario movie, so Super Mario Galaxy. I'm not talking about the movie because, you know, spoiler alerts, right?
Nigga, is this your first day on Earth?
It's definitely not my first day on Earth. I wouldn't want to spoil it because, again, I'm assuming that everybody's a Mario fan, right? You know, Jay Vaxer and some other folks, I mean, have done full blown Mario marathons. So, yeah, I mean, both movies, essentially, the point is they could really continue with these movies because of how big of a franchise that Mario has been with Nintendo. So that's pretty much all I was mentioning. That's what I did with my weekend, essentially. So yeah, but the weather's breaking. Everything is going well. So today, if you looked at the title, it's called Time Divided, right? So I'm just gonna touch base on just like dividing your time, right? I already kind of mentioned that when I talked about the weekend. That was kind of a little upfront type of thing where it's like, people divide their weekend, right? If you're a person that doesn't work on the weekend, you may have to manage your week, slightly different. But for those who are completely off during the weekend, you know, most people, right, just coming from like a normal type of life, I guess, people may try to do their grocery shopping on the weekend. People, go to kids' games. People do everything on the weekend, right? That's a lot of people's free time. So they're like, all right, the weekend's here. Let me kind of do that. Shout out to Ms. G in the building. I love Mario, but I know we'll never let Mario be in the movie. But yeah, I'm trying to think. Did they have a live action? I can't remember if they had like a live action, but yeah, they have, Sega and their Sonic franchise. That would be crazy. Because Mario has a lot of worlds, right? Including a 3D world. So if Sonic was to travel to a Mario 3D world and they incorporated that, I mean, that would go crazy. You already had Donkey Kong in the first movie. I'm not giving any spoilers about the second movie, but obviously there's characters in the movie. Yeah. I mean, I just think about like Mario Party. I think about Smash Bros, right? Mario Kart. Like there's so many different Mario games that exist. Even aside from the crossovers. Even if they never did certain crossovers, Mario would still, it could go on for how many years is it going on right now, right? So yeah. But yeah, definitely fire. So time divided, right? First off, a sip of water, right? And time divided. So the weekend, right? That's pretty much the basis of how I would assume many people spend their weekends: grocery shopping, kids' activities, adult activities, relaxing, spa, gym, doing whatever they want to do, watch sport. They just kind of chill from the work week, right? But even when you go into the week, right, you still have to kind of divide your time and manage it because especially if you have certain things that go on in your life outside of just work, then you're probably going to be spending a lot of time prioritizing your days and weeks, right? And that could go all the way down to the day specifically. Like for me, and again, for people who have been here since forever, that it's certain things I do in the morning, right? Like I drink water. I drink water in the morning, right? I also drink vitamin C, right? I prefer vitamin C. Another thing that I like to do, I normally try to time it around that 8 o'clock time frame, right? Because when I first get up early in the morning, especially during the weekday, take care of the kids, right? We got to do that always. We got to still work, right? Everyone's work schedule is, how their job operates is different, right? Some people are just like based on hourly, some people, based off of just salaried, all kinds of things, right? Exempt, non-exempt, etc. But a lot of people, I would say, start their day really early in the morning because that gives you additional flexibility where maybe your job also offers you flexibility or you're unable to get flexibility from your job. Being able to start earlier in your day and later into your evening, I think gives you that extra flexibility that a lot of people need, right? Especially if you're trying to accomplish things outside of just your normal job, right? It definitely depends on the day, for sure, right? Because you've probably heard before people say, well, your 9 to 5 is how you stay alive, but if you want to make money, it's everything you do 6 p.m. till, right? It's almost like you're working a job during the day and then you're working on yourself in the evening, which, is fairly true for some people. Some people may work in the evening and do whatever they do during the morning or the early afternoon, whatever the case is, right? We know that typically they're like, most people consider a day in 3 shifts, right? So you have the morning shift, which we'll call it the 9 to 5. And then you have the late shift, right? For the people 5 p.m. till 2 a.m., right? And then you have the graveyard shift, people that's getting up out of bed at 1 a.m. and they got to be at work at 2, 3 o'clock and they working until 7, 8 in the morning, right? Rack said morning shift better. Hey, listen. That morning shift is something special if you can manage it, especially if you can push the morning shift to right after graveyard shift. I mean, I'm gonna have to agree with Rack on that personally, because I feel like if you can start your day at 5 a.m., 6 a.m., 7 a.m., right? Then you're crushing it because by the time people actually really get going, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, you already put in 3-4 hours, right? So for me, I just be real with you, right? So I like to start my day with a certain routine. Then I get into my Monday morning stuff, which now I kind of do it live, but I make time for that by doing work prior to. I'm sure a lot of people can agree with that. I like the graveyard shift, especially working at the hospital. Most patients sleep. Listen, first of all, shout out again to Miss G. If you go to Miss G's page, you would just know she prefers the graveyard shift, right? Like, I mean, the aesthetic is graveyard shift. You feel me? Such a great time over there, Miss G. I always got to go over there and check her out. Always got to go over there. You got to. Step back in the building. What's good with your Step? How you feeling? 5 to 2. 5 to 2, not bad. I've personally had throughout my life thus far, I've worked every shift. I've worked every shift. The time I worked the graveyard shift, so I work partial graveyard shift. I'll be real with you. I used to work at like IHOP, right? So I worked that partial graveyard shift at IHOP, just kind of, you know what I'm saying, into the wee hours of the night where people eating or whatever. And then the true graveyard shift I worked is when I worked for what's that? UPS? I don't know if that's PII, right? But UPS and that graveyard shift, if anybody's worked at UPS, first of all, shout out to you. Because I would sit in UPS overnight in the graveyard shift, straight up, like,
I ain't gonna lie, I'm getting cooked.
getting cooked. Like, have y'all ever emptied out an 18-foot trailer by yourself? Have y'all done that? Like, there's definitely jobs out here that will build character. It will absolutely build character. Like, that was your first job? Yeah. Listen, If you've emptied out an 18-foot trailer, you know what I'm talking about. I had the graveyard shift. Listen, I specifically recall when I used to go home and take a shower before I got in the bed, right? Which was basically during the morning, cleaning out all the dust and black particles out of your nose from just being in the back of those trailers. I mean, it was absolutely ridiculous. I don't work for them. That's been a very long time, but I will say this from personal experience. Shout out to Dell. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Dell Computers, who I'm aging myself, right? But if you unloaded a truck full of Dell Computers, that was a good night for you. Because I would rather unload perfectly packaged, perfectly stacked Dell Computers all night versus people shipping car parts, bruh. Like, car parts are the worst thing that you can unload out of an 18-wheel trailer. Listen, when they have that job requirement, can you lift this many pounds? Do not lie. Because when you're in there lifting up tires and mufflers, bruh, when you are lifting up tires and mufflers and rims and other parts, listen, you're going to make sure you can lift the required weight. Because UPS ain't got time to be messing up everybody's order because you got hurt on the job. They would call my name over and over. Truck 16. Yeah, and the site I worked at, I forgot how many bays they had. It was a lot, though. Only night jobs. Pizza or retail. Listen, I worked at McDonald's. I did every job at McDonald's. That'll build character. I never worked at a pizza shop, but I can imagine. I've also worked retail. That retail life, listen, I worked for a department store and I did several jobs, all of which excluded actually selling products and being a cashier. Like a sales associate, I was not a sales associate. Retail smooth. Retail, I would feel like, all right, hear me out real quick. What would y'all consider a high paying job? Let's set some parameters to it though. Let's say for someone under the age of 21, because we don't want to get crazy. We don't want people talking about, yeah, high paying job. You need to be making $867,000 a year. Like, we ain't got time for all that, right? Realistically, for a lot of people, what's a high paying job if you're under the age of 21? Fulfillment or cashiering. Yeah, I never did cashiering. Not for a retail store. Walmart. Shout out to Wally World. I got a story about Wally World too, actually. Hollister overnight Kohl's. Yeah. Yep, that's a fact. But let me know in the chat if y'all have an amount that y'all think is a good paying or high paying amount for someone under 21. You let me know what you think that number is, and then I'll let you know what I think that number is. So before we get into, what we get into on our Mondays, yeah, someone 21 or under. What would you consider a high paying job? Let me tell you my Wally World story. So we placed an order last night, right? This is because of my own incompetence that this even had to take place, right? This is all on me. This is how this started. Shout out to Besco in the building. Right? 16, 17, are you saying $16, $17 an hour? Is that what you're saying? Tell me what the 16, 17 is. Yeah, long time no see. Besco, how you doing? I'm just starting off my Wally World story. So Walmart story. I had a quick Walmart story. An hour. Okay. Or 16, 17. What? Hold up. Wait. You confused me even more just now. Are you saying a year or are you saying an hour? $17,000 a year or $17 an hour? Per hour. All right, bet. So back to this story real quick. So let me tell you how this all started off. Short story is I forgot to place the lunch order for my son for school. That's on me. That's my bad. My bad, son. My bad, son. I know he was looking like,
You're cooked, brother.
I'm cooked. Yes, I'm actually cooked because now I have to do all this other preparation for you now because I forgot to order your lunch. So I got to pack you lunch. And for the record, just to add some intensity to the story, if I miss a lunch order, chat, it's not as simple as like, well, that's no big deal. You missed a lunch order, right? So let me just give you the rule. The rule is all lunch orders have to be submitted by a specific day of the month, which is the middle of the month. If you do not, right, which I did miss, I won't blame it on anything but myself, but I missed the date. Even if you miss the day one day, it doesn't matter. The cutoff time has passed. So what that means is it's not that, oh, your child is going to not have lunch for the day, so you have to pack their lunch. That means you missed the entire next month, chat. You missed the entire next month. So, ergo, if you place orders for your child's lunch and you miss it, then you have to pack them lunch for all of that month because you can't put in no order. It's closed, right? They serve several schools. They're not going to bend the rules for one kid, right? You go south and I'd be hoping you get at least 15 an hour. Okay. 15, 16, 17. Okay. So those are the numbers we're going to work with. You pay for lunch twice. See, if you got a good honest system there, then either the school or whoever you purchase lunch through should give you a credit, right? You should have a credit for twice as many lunch, right? So that's how that should work. And the company we use is a very good company and they give you credit. So if you pay and then all of a sudden schools close, they will not be like, well, you lost your money, right? But so let me tell you how these events stack up. So I forgot to pay for lunch. So I need to make lunch all this month. The good thing is the month started off with a holiday, right? Easter, then it followed up by spring break, right? So half the month is gone already, right? That's the W. But anyway, not only did I forget to pack lunch, I forgot to order lunch, but I then forgot to pack lunch. So twice, that's why I need to order lunch because it's hard for me to keep up with lunch, right? I barely eat lunch for work, and we'll get into that later. So we had to place an order for this from the store because the kids got to go to bed. It's late, right? So we got to place an order from the store. They deliver the order, sent us the picture. The delivery's at the wrong house. So all of our stuff that we plan to use to pack lunch is cooked. It's out there in the world somewhere. The order is complete. We don't have our stuff. So now I have to go to the store because I don't have a choice. I have to go get this stuff that I need, right? So I go to the store. I go to Wally World. Shout out to Walmart, by the way, right? There's nothing wrong with Walmart. Listen, don't get me started, all right? I like Walmart. Anyway, I go to Wally World and I'm like, I got specific stuff that I need to get. This shouldn't take me too long because, listen, it's Walmart. They got everything you need. The prices is straight. You might get some extra stuff. I like Target too. Walmart's just more convenient for me and they have most of the same stuff. At least our Walmart does. Our Walmart is nice. I mean, they have it's a super center. They have food, like actual food in there and a refrigerator and everything. So, I mean, they have a lot of stuff in there. That's the short of it. So I can get everything I need from Walmart. By the way, the order that got delivered to the wrong house was from Target. Just to throw it out there. Nothing against Target. Because as you can see, we ordered from Target. It just didn't show up. Anyway, moving on. So I'm like, all right, I'm on a mission. It's late at night. Let me go grab this stuff out of Walmart. They close in 30 minutes anyway. I'm be in and out. Right? Right. They be yelling over their loudspeaker. Attention customers of Walmart, we close in 40 minutes. Please start grabbing your last items and making your way to the front. Walmart will be open again tomorrow, and she gives the time. Shout out to Sun in the background. Right? If you've been to Walmart, you know how it is. So, what's the story? What's the story, True? Right? I'm going into Walmart thinking, okay, it's late at night. The store's barely got people in it. This is about to be smooth, right? I start walking down the aisle to get my products. And chat, I look up, and mind you, I'm a tall dude. I can see every aisle. I can see every shelf in the aisle. I look up, and I'm like, what the hell is even that? Chat, you want to know what I saw? You want to know why it took me longer to actually get the stuff I needed versus just being able to walk in and walk out of a almost empty Walmart? They were in there restocking shelves. I don't know if it had just happened. I'm assuming it did. They were restocking shelves, chat. And the aisle that I was in initially was already restocked completely. But why would I look up and say, what the hell is even that? Somebody take a guess. Anyone, just take a random guess in the chat and I'll tell you immediately after. Take one random guess. Anyone. What would make me go into... So I'm in Walmart, step back, and I go into an aisle, and I'm thinking it's going to be a quick... He said Oreos. Okay. What had happened? What had happened was, I saw a rose. No. All the items on the shelves. Hey, shout out to Miss G. All the items on the shelf, chat, perfectly stocked, perfectly aligned, all products facing backwards, chat. No, we know they got fake name brand cereal. We know that. That's Walmart. They got Walmart brand. They got other brands. No. All the products were facing backwards, chat. Listen, if you don't know how crazy that is, right? Just pick, I'm assuming everybody in this chat has a can in their house, some type of canned food, right? Imagine turning that can backwards. Even though you know exactly what it is because you're the one holding the can and you turned it backwards, you no longer know what's in that can if it's on a shelf. No, turn backwards. Like literally, like, let me use this as an example. Let me just give a random example. Give me something. What's something that's within my reach? Okay. No, that's not good. That's not good. That's not good. Trying to find something within my reach. Something that actually makes sense. Okay, here we go. I could use this, chat. This is just a small example, right? This is an eSync Bluetooth, right? It is a Bluetooth. That's all it is. It's a Bluetooth. You would go into the store looking for this product, and this is the Bluetooth that you're looking for. They have the exact product you're looking for. This is it. But imagine everything on the shelf being faced like this. Imagine it being faced like this. Can you imagine going into a store looking for this and all the shelves look like this? And I'm talking about food items. This is an electronic. I was looking for a specific mustard, and it wasn't until I couldn't see the brand and label of the mustard that I realized how many yellow condiments exist. So, Chad, I go from
What the hell is even that?
to 5 minutes of looking for mustard to like
I ain't gonna lie, I'm getting cooked.
that was my Wally World experience, right? I would want to walk out the store flustered, but I can't. I gotta get what I need. I have to, because I need this stuff for my kids' lunch, right? So it's crazy. And everybody that was working there, I was not asking for help. Everybody was restocking. Who was the person they put in charge of restocking and they made everything backwards? That's what I want to know. You feel me? So yeah, that's what that is. Bruh, turning each item around just to whew. Or imagine the person that doesn't work that late shift and they go in and see that because they're responsible for that section and making sure that section is organized, and they got to turn all the products around. That just made me think maybe a coworker is mad at another coworker. So they didn't do it to make the customers mad. They did it to make the coworker mad because maybe they assumed that it wouldn't be people shopping for mustard at 11 o'clock at night. Maybe that's what it was, right, Chad? Like, maybe they were just like, nobody's going to come in here for condiments at 10:30 at night. And here come True walking in, minding other people's business, putting myself in the middle of other people's business. And I'm like, yo, what the hell? And then, but I guess good for me, because if that was the case and I had went and I was on my Karen mode and I was like, excuse me, somebody flipped all the products around, so I need somebody to help me at 10:30 at night when they trying to close the store and go home. Imagine if that was me, right? They was like, see, that's why you mind your damn business. Dijon mustard is exactly what I was looking for. Shout out to me. I was literally looking for Dijon mustard. And if you have Dijon mustard, you know that's easy to find, right? But when the labels are turned backwards, listen, I didn't know how many variations of mustard exists, honestly. Some I'm gonna have to go back and try. They had like a hot and like, they had like a hot honey mustard, right? Which makes sense, but like if you know like Mike's Hot Honey, right? If you guys are anywhere near like a Ann Pizza, if you've heard of that before, they use like a spicy honey. They have one of those. It do hit. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, so that's the Wally World story, right? But we're talking about time. So I had to do that in order to manage my time. Shout out to Jay Mont in the building. What's good? How you feeling? So that is my Wally World story, right? So let me expand on that story. So as I'm collecting all my products that took me way longer than it should, Jay Mont entered the story where we're talking about Wally World, right? Walmart. I went in there to shop and all the products were facing backwards. Listen, I'm going to try not to get myself canceled. This is just a statement I heard, and I'm not trying to offend anyone. But the phrase I heard somebody use is somebody had a touch of tism. Somebody. Maybe somebody was annoyed, or somebody, it just didn't sit right with them having all the labels facing forward, right? Maybe in their head, they were thinking, well, if you a Walmart shopper, you should have the app by now, and you could just scan the products. Maybe that was their thinking. Because then if I want to see the price of something, now I got to turn it around to scan it. Yes, J-Mon, all the products were facing backwards, and it was restocked. It wasn't like empty shelves and people move stuff around. No, it was a fresh restock. The items were out to the edge, perfectly aligned. All of them looking like this. Again, imagine if you go into a store looking for something like this, and this is what all the shelves look like. Come on, bruh. That's why I say they must have been mad at a coworker. They wanted that coworker to go in there in the morning and be like, I'm responsible for this section, and this asshole and then turn all the products around the wrong way. Either that or somebody had a touch. They had something. They was irritated by the labels or something. I said, man, So that's the first part of the story. And then when I'm leaving out the store, I promise you, chat, I was not trying to be the asshole. I was not at all. It's late at night. I'm not trying to mess with no one's evening. I'm just going to check out. If you're like me and you, chat, I pay for certain things, right? I'm going to just be real with you. One of the things I pay for is, and this is not it's not sponsored, but if Walmart wants to sponsor this, then sure. But I pay for Scan and Go, right? The Scan and Go service. It's like $13 a month. I pay for it because Walmart is the most convenient store to my house, and I go there all the time, and it's Walmart. So that place is packed. And I can go in there at any moment and have to wait in line 15 minutes, chat. 15 whole minutes waiting in line just because it's a lot of people is crazy. So I pay for Scan and Go. Why? Because a lot of people in this area do not. So every time I go in there, and sometimes I have to go in there during peak hours, chat, I'm talking packed store. Line coming from self-checkout going all the way through the women and kids section. Crazy. And I walk straight to the front because I got Scan and Go. And I've been scanning my products as I've been walking through the store. And by the time I get to the cash register, all I got to do is scan the barcode and walk out the store. I pay $13 for that. I don't care. It's worth it. Last night I went to do that, but the store was empty. I went to the same register, which is for the Scan and Go, but it's also for Spark. I guess Spark is the service that's similar to like, Postmates, or Uber Eats, or DoorDash, delivery service, right? The girl straight up looked me in my face in the middle of the night and says, "You can't use that register. You have to use the one over there." I said, "Why is that?" She said, "That's for Spark." That's the first thing. You never even asked if I was doing Spark. You just told me I couldn't use it. I said, "Okay, I don't have Spark," which I don't, chat. I don't have Spark. And she go, "Oh, if you don't have Spark, you got to use this register over here." I go, my assumption at this point, chat, is like maybe the policy changed, right? Because before Scan and Go used to be all the registers, but then they changed it to one specific register, I guess based off of consumer use in that particular store or something. Either way, it still works. I still get out of there really fast. But she didn't ask no further questions. She just said that. I said, "Well, every time I come in the store," and she was a face I'd never seen because I go in there all the time. I was at the register and I'm like, "Well, this is the register I normally use anytime I come in the store." And she was like, I told her, I said, "I just scan the products while I'm in the store and then I just check out right here." And she was like, "You only use that one if you have a barcode." I was like, "I have a barcode right here." She was like, "Oh, why you ain't say that?" I was like, "What am I supposed to say?" What am I supposed to say to you? I don't know. I don't know if you're giving me some type of direction. Like, I don't work here. I'm not about to dictate the rules. I'm just following your lead. You said Spark. I said I don't have Spark. I said I don't deliver products to customers. I said I'm shopping for myself. I scan it in the store and I scan here. She said, "That's Scan and Go." I said, "You didn't say Scan and Go. You said Spark." I said I was assuming that Spark was maybe now the name for Scan and Go. I don't know. Anyway, I was like, "I'm not trying to make you frustrated." I was like, "I just, here you go." She was like, "You good?" I was like, "Okay. I don't know. I'm not about to tell you how to do your job." I've seen too many Walmart videos of people who don't work at Walmart going into there and telling people the rules of Walmart. Like, I'm not about to do that in the middle of the night. For what? Have you and your coworkers pissed off at me because I'm trying to create rules? It's like, bruh, why are you giving us such a hard time? I told you can't use that one. But I had to rebuttal because I know if I try to use that one, it's not going to work because I have my barcode and I have to go here at Scan and Go station. That's the other part of the story. So I walked out. I mean, the trip was fine. I got everything I needed, but with some additional effort. But I tell you right now, that Scan and Go be pissing people off when they see me. That's why I don't talk to nobody. I don't have to. It's not my job to educate customers on services that are available at the store. It's not my job. But when I go in there in a packed store, I remember a couple of weeks ago, I literally basically looked in the direction of the line, right? Just because I don't know why. I just did, even though I knew I wasn't waiting in line. And somebody caught eyes with me and was like, the line's back there. And I just kept walking. I'm not about to respond because I already know any response I give is just going to amp this person up because they already pissed off because they waited in the line. Like, what made you say that to me? You have no idea why I'm in this store. You have no idea what I'm doing. Right? You could assume, right, because I have a cart, but I could have been putting shit back. You don't know. Either way, I walked straight to the front of the line and walked out. So that is a part of saving time. And with that, going back to our conversation, first of all, a disclaimer, anything that you hear me say here, whether you learn from it or whether you take something from it, do your own due diligence because I am not a financial advisor, a certified financial planner. I'm not an accountant, a tax advisor. I am none of those things. I am not managing your money for you. I am not giving you recommendations. I am just simply entertaining you with financial information, right? So anything you learn, hey, go do some due diligence on it, right? Anyway, about that hourly rate, $15, $16, $17 an hour. That's what Rat gave us earlier. The question was, what, and if you're still listening, the question is, what do you consider a high paying job? The parameters put on that is for a person 21 years old or younger, because we don't want people getting carried away. Like, yeah, high paying job is 6 figures. But yeah, we got it. All right, we got it. But what's a high paying job for someone under the age of 21, right? By saying the age of 21, you can probably assume a few things, right? They've only been out of high school, maybe 3 to 4 years. Maybe they went to college. Maybe they're currently in college, right? So you factor in all those things. Maybe they started working directly out of high school, but now you maybe factor in the education requirements for certain jobs, things like that, right? We're not judging nobody. We're just saying what is a high paying job for someone who's roughly 21 years old or younger, right? Anybody want to make any additional guess? Anybody want to make any guess? So the numbers that we got, which we're going to go with, 15, 16, and $17 an hour, since we have an average, which is $16 an hour. If you don't know how I came up with that number, then the rest of this conversation may or may not go over your head. Again, I'm not judging you, but we're going to use the average. We're going to say $16 an hour. Assuming people work 40 hours a week, chat. $640 a week. We're going to just take straight math and say times 52 weeks. A high paying job for someone 21 or under is $33,280. Right? That dollar amount, $16, gives you basically a price point in which you assume a number on the high side for anyone 21 years old or younger. And then if we assume that, let's assume everyone by the age of 21 is making that, which everyone is not, because again, that's a high paying dollar amount. The US minimum wage is $7.25. So $7.25 times 40 times 52 is 15,000. So we're talking a difference of roughly $18,000 a year. Why are these numbers even remotely important as to what I'm going to say today? Well, because we're talking about dividing your time, right? So we're talking about the average now, right? Because we're saying that's 21 years old or younger. Now, if we think about people older than that, let's just assume by the time everyone's 21, they're making $16 an hour. All other factors, non-relevant, and then they start to receive standard increase or some regular form of increase each year. So we're talking about by the time they're 25, they go from making $33,000 an hour to making, let's call it $35,000, $36,000, $37,000 an hour, right? Nothing crazy, right? Those are the numbers we're going to use. So now we can start to divide our time, right? So for example, if you're going to spend, right, 15 minutes in line at Walmart, right? And you make $16 an hour. So 15 minutes is a quarter of an hour. A quarter of $16 an hour is $4. So it costs you $4 to stand in line. Each time, chat. So if you are standing in line, we're just doing very simple math at this point. If you're standing in line once a week at Walmart, and the average time you stand in line is 15 minutes, right? Follow me, chat. That is $16 a month it's costing you to stand in line. But this is where you could be sold, is the Walmart service is like $13. So you save $3, right? As they call it, boy math or girl math, you save about $3 by electing to have the scan and go service, which allows you to skip the line. Just saying, if you really wanted to start thinking about how your hours and your time can be divided, that's some ways you can start thinking about it, right? Convenience, because in that 15 minutes, you may actually make money. Whatever your job is, right? We're not assuming what your actual job is, but we're just assuming a standard rate for that job, right? So $16 an hour, listen, you're saving $3 a month. And not to mention, if you stand in line more, I don't know how often you go to Walmart, right? Could vary. So that's going to bring me to what I want to kind of talk about today, like real quick. Not going to be on here a ton longer, but real quick conversation. So the first thing is I want to play 2 videos for you guys. I want to play 2 videos for you. Just transitioning my screen. Transitioning my screen. Okay. Sure. Here we go. Let's get into it. So I want you guys to see 2 videos. Okay, here we go. Here's the first video. Come on.
People are not rich until they have $5 million liquid.
Yeah.
Justify the number.
You'd be amazed how many wealthy people that say they're rich do not have liquidity. Liquidity is defined by the ability at any moment to have liquid cash. You're not rich if it's all tied up in real estate. You're not rich if it's in jewelry and in cars and in boats and all that stuff. Sure. It's very hard to get $5 million liquid because in this market, that makes you $250,000 a year pre-tax. You have a family of 4 and poo-poo hits the fan in your world and everybody loses their job, you can sustain a family of $250 pre-tax. That's why it's the magic number. Very hard to get there. When I have a really bad day, bad markets, bad outcome, bad litigation, I go to my little account on my phone, I go, oh, hi there. And I worked for that. It's sitting in T-bills, generating 3.824% right now. That's my safety net. And I tell all my entrepreneurs, that's your goal. You'd be amazed. Start asking people, do you have 5 million liquid?
5 million is the goal.
No, they
Chad.
don't.
You heard it here.
Get 5 million liquid, and then you are wealthy.
You say people are not rich until they have $5 million
So that was the first video,
liquid.
chat.
Yeah.
I didn't
Just
watch it twice, but essentially
The immediate
you
priority-
You already said 5 million liquid. Obviously, he's talking about wealthy people not having it. So the chances of a person who doesn't consider themselves rich or wealthy having it is extremely, extremely low, right? But to break that down into months, right? Or years. So if we want to compare year to year, so that is the equivalent of about $167,000 a year, right? We said the high point for a person that's roughly around where we're calling it the ages of now 21 to mid 20s, right? Is about $33,000 to $38,000 a year, right? You're about 130K short of his number. 130K short of his number. And that's if you're talking about now surviving in retirement when you're not working. He's just talking about having $5 million, period. Do you have $5 million? That's what he's talking about. Like, that's a huge ask out of just the ordinary person. But we're just going to use that number to move along the conversation. So to get $5 million, or if you have $5 million a year and you wanted to survive off that in retirement, shout out to Pay. We gotta go full screen for this chat. We gotta pause this. We gotta go full screen for this chat. Hey, let's go. Let's go. What's good with you, chat? How y'all feeling? Welcome. Welcome. Anyone who came through on that raid, first of all, shout out to you and welcome. Yeah, y'all know them beats be dropping. You feel me? Listen, I think this is what it is right here. And because I'm extra, that was just the raid music. We talking about time today. Shout out to Pay. We talking about time today, but I got to figure out how to manage my time because even after that, right? I still got to give a shout out to Pay. What you talking about? Let's go. Can we get some emojis in the chat? Emote the chat. Shout out to Pay in the raid. What's good with you, Pay? Hopefully you had a good weekend. At the moment, we're talking about time divided. So we're talking about what Kevin O'Leary mentioned about $5 million. And we're just comparing numbers, right? So the initial question was, how much is a lot of money? Or what's a lot of money to make with the parameters of the person being about 21 years old or younger? And we're just going to use that as a high number, which means it's the average range for people between, we're going to say, the ages of 17 to like 25, 26. The number for 21-year-olds as a high number was $15, $16, $17 an hour. So $16 an hour, $33,000 a year. So we're saying for someone who is, we're just inflating that very slightly per year to come up with somebody in their mid-20s. So in the mid-20s, a high number, the chat is considering about $36,000, $37,000, $38,000 a year. You let me know if you have a high number. But he's talking about Kevin O'Leary. We're going to go back to our screen. He's saying his rich friends don't have even $5 million in the bank. And we're going to compare that to how much money you need in retirement. He's just saying in case something happens, We're saying the thing that happens is going to be retirement. And if it's anyone new here in the chat, first of all, shout out to you for coming through in that raid. This your boy True Keyman. You can call me True. I go live just randomly, but most consistently on a Monday. We're bringing to you financial entertainment. Anything you hear in this chat, listen, you got to verify for yourself because I'm not licensed. So shout out to you. Shout out to y'all for coming through. Watch my trailer if you want to just get another quick update about who I am. Kevin O'Leary, he said, you're not rich until you have $5 million liquid. That's what he's saying. Well, $5 million liquid, we're going to translate that into normal people and say $5 million for retirement. So $5 million in retirement means you need to have, we're using 30 years, roughly $167,000 a year to spend, right? That's from, according to Kevin O'Leary, the $5 million, he didn't say this, we're just taking his number. That is someone who wants to live off $167,000 a year. But imagine you're not that person. Imagine you're a regular person. Maybe you just chill. Maybe your number is way lower. Maybe your number is your current salary, which is roughly $33,000 to $38,000 a year. We talking $16 an hour. Maybe that's your number. Maybe you say, if I can live off of $16, $17 an hour without working, so I got that amount of money in the bank, right? Right, chat? We're talking $38,000 a year for 30 years. We're talking $1.1 million. That's much more attainable, right? Because now let's break down this time. How is that number attainable? Well, if you're trying to live a very modest life, your goal isn't going to be, oh, I need this much per month because I need to pay this car note. I need to pay this mortgage. I need to pay this and pay that and pay this and pay that. Your goal as you reach retirement age, for the sake of argument, let's call retirement age 60, right? You're basically saying between the ages of, what we say, 26, chat? Between the ages of 26 to 60, 34 years, I just need to get my monthly expenses down to less than $38,000 a year, right? $38,000 a year, or about just over $3,000 a month. That was the preface it. So now let's go to someone else and give you a different perspective. Let's go to Ross Mack. Shout out to Ross Mack. If you don't watch his videos, definitely check him out. Now listen to his point of view.
All right, kids, y'all trying to learn something new?
Yeah.
There we go. I don't know if she said no or yeah. I was on Fox News last week, and the topic was about the average American believes you need $1.4 million to retire. So that seems like a lot, but I want people to kind of understand the math. And you might not need 1.4, so as long as your expenses are lower. One second. I got it. One second. And so Rossi's going to get in trouble. But listen, if the math is this, if you need 1.4 million to retire, the idea is that for retirement, you take out 4% of what you have in your retirement to live off of, right? The other stays invested and your money effectively never depletes. And so at 1.4 million, that's about $56,000 a year, which is slightly less than $5,000 a month. And so if your monthly expenses is less than $5,000 a month, then you don't really need 1.4, right? You ask yourself, as I get close to retirement, kids,
And we
as I
basically
get
off
close
of
to
1.1,
retirement,
chat.
if my house is paid off and my car is paid for, etc., like now you're saying all I'm paying for is taxes and utilities and, you know, vacations and groceries, etc. So really, as you get closer to retirement, as your expenses come down, you don't necessarily need that much. But if you need, you know, my house is $3,000, my car is $1,000, then guess what? You're gonna probably need closer to $2 million, right? That's the idea. All right, kids, y'all trying to learn something new?
Y'all heard what he said. Again, him and Kevin O'Leary are talking two different things. Let me be clear. Kevin O'Leary is talking cash for an emergency. He's talking rich. He's saying you need cash in case things hit the fan. You need $5 million in cash, right? That's a different level. Ross Mack is talking about something that American can accomplish with time, especially if you're 26 years old. The time frame is 34 years if we're talking age 60? 34 years to get to basically $1.4 million. And most people see that as like more, I guess, I don't want to say more difficult than it is. I think it's just they see the number million and that scares them. When if over the course of that 34 years, let's use a most basic example. I don't even want to say basic. Let's just use a simplified example. You are extremely frugal. You are approaching retirement age. And by the time you hit retirement age, you say, I just want to make sure I got a decent car, right? Or by the time I retire, at least a brand new car paid off, house paid off. That alone extremely reduces your monthly expenses, especially if you've been using that time frame to make sure you don't have any debt payments. You don't have any creditors you got to take care of. You don't have none of that. Even if you have that now as a 17, 18, 19, 20, 21-year-old, 22-year-old, even if you have that now, think about the time you have to get rid of that and put yourself in a position like Ross Mack is talking about. Because he said it. He said, listen, if you don't even need 1.4 depending on your expenses. But if you're talking about a different lifestyle, right? If you're talking, okay, I want to be able to have $1,000 car note or $3,000 house payment, all that stuff in retirement, you're talking a different number, right? So then you start breaking that stuff down into time. You just divide your time. Divide your time and figure out what that true number is. That is how you ease the tension and the stress that you put on your brain from saying, oh man, I need $1.4 million and I'm barely at zero. You got to break it down, right? Especially if you're someone listening to this and you're 21 years old and you're making $16 an hour, right? You could be considered ahead of the curve. You're making $33,000 a year. That's not a little bit of money. It just all depends on how you're actually managing that money, right? So that was just a quick little tidbit. It was enough without saying too much, especially on the topic of retirement. The main thought is just like, break it down. Break it down, figure out what that hourly rate is, figure out what that means in terms of what you need to actually survive. Because you may have some people that's like, nah, $5,000 a month in retirement is not going to cut it, right? Because I need to have me a $10,000 vacation every single month. Ergo, I'm going to need more than $1.4 million like your boy Ross Mack is talking about. So that is one perspective, right? So we talked about that. Now, let's change gears just a little bit. Again, I told you guys, right, we're talking about time being divided. So part of that isn't just all money aspect, even though everything can technically lead there sometimes. But another aspect of that, again, is how you breaking down your work day, right? Like, again, I get up early. I start working early. I prefer to do work before, for my job anyway, right? Before people are online and stuff, so I can do a bunch of stuff before people start taking up your time, before meetings start to get rolling, right? That's how you do it, right? For me. Take my lunch break at a different time instead of 12 o'clock. Listen, however you're able to manage your time, do it to peak effectiveness. Think about your own life and how you can kind of move, right? And take advantage of it. I told you in the morning, if y'all been here forever, you know, True gets a little exercise in the morning. I get my water, I get my vitamin C, you know what I'm saying? Do my little push-ups, do a little weight bench, a little sit-up, you know what I'm saying? Some stretching, just some slight work, right? But it's routine. And then on Monday, you know what I'm saying? Me trying to make it more of a routine, making sure my schedule is straight again. We get into this. Boom. This not just for y'all. This is for me, right? This is part of my day. This is part of what I consider work, right? Because it's work for both work and it's work for personal reasons as well. So this is what I do Monday. How do I start my week? I figure out what's going on with my country, right? What's going on with my economy, right? So I can see that here. And again, we go to CNBC just because we like the way the user interface looks. We got our Christmas bar all lit up red and green. You know, either it's red and it's down or it's green and it's up. Dow is down, S&P, NASDAQ, Russell, VIX, all up. S&P 500 is flat as investors bet on eventual Iran resolution. Dow dragged down by Goldman. I don't know what Goldman doing, but it is April 15th, right? So it's the beginning of a new quarter it's the beginning, not for the most part, it's the beginning of a new quarter. And that means earnings season is among us. Earnings season typically starts in the first month, the middle of the first month of the quarter, right? We looked at earnings seasons information a long time ago. So if you're still following that schedule, we should have some financials, right? Some banks kind of starting to lead us off with the earnings reports. But on CNBC, what are we doing here, right? We're looking at articles and we're making assumptions. If you like some, read them for yourself. I'll check some out later if I'm interested. But for the sake of this, we're just going to look at some headlines and make some quick assumptions. U.S. begins blockade in Strait of Hormuz. Trump warns Iran attack ships to stay away. He told them that before, and now they're saying begins blockade. Listen, be careful out there. UK not supporting U.S. blockade. France confirms multinational talks. You know, we're talking about the same thing. They're talking about war. We're not too focused on it. We are focused on it, but not too focused. We're not giving our opinions, right? We're not gonna sit here and act like we're qualified to start giving out recommendations to the U.S. military. I'm not anyway. Oil prices top $100 as U.S. Navy blockades Iran ports after peace talks fail. Listen, oil keep going up, gas gonna keep going up. Listen, but also, here's the thing that you got to think about. If oil's going up, look at this headline. Oil prices will likely stay higher for longer. Oil is going up. Again, I'm not telling you guys what to do, but if oil's going up, then that means oil's going up, right? You can invest in oil. Just saying, not telling you to do it, just saying it is something that is possible, right? Do your own research. I'm just bringing up anyone, right? So this is the ProShares Ultra Bloomberg crude oil, right? I don't know what day the war started, but as far back as December 15th, crude oil has been up. Why did I pull a Fibonacci just now? That was crazy. Rulers right here. My bad, chat. So from, call it mid-December to today, I mean, oil is up 134%. Yeah, your gas prices are going to be higher. Relative strength index is off the chart, but I can't, relative strength always regresses to the median, but I can't say what's going to happen because you got this stuff going on, right? You got the blockade going on. Middle East oil production plunges due to Iran war, right? I think we read last week that some countries were trying to do more trading within or around that area to try to take advantage of the reduced production because the oil prices are going to be higher. S&P 500 is flat as investors bet on eventual Iran resolution. Dow dragged down by Goldman. We're going to see a lot of that. We've been seeing it for the last couple of weeks, but we're gonna continue to see a lot of that. Sorry, chat. as I mentioned before. People starting to wake up. And that's how it goes. People start to wake up, chat, which now rushes me in my time. It is what it is, chat, but that's, let's just check out some of these articles real quick and then we'll go take care of business. Let's take care of these articles real quick. So you got the Revolution Medicine says potential breakthrough pancreatic cancer drug succeeds in late stage trial. Judge dismisses Trump $10 billion defamation lawsuit. Amazon shares have been on fire lately. Yeah, definitely check out Amazon. You got to see what's going on because, them consumer products. OpenAI touts Amazon alliance and memo. Look at that. More talks to Amazon. Says Microsoft has limited our ability to reach clients. You got to check that out. If they're being mentioned for a reason, right? Goldman Sachs tops estimates on record equities trading. Here's why the stock is falling. Well, there you go. They were talking about Goldman earlier, right? Dragged down by Goldman. Yeah. Trump blasts Pope Leo for criticism of U.S. foreign policy. I don't know why the Pope would be talking about foreign policy, but yeah, that's kind of crazy, if you ask me. Europe cheers Orban defeat as bloody nose for the Kremlin. Okay. They're not talking about much today, actually. A knighted billionaire. Delta Airline unveils first new Delta One suite and premium cabin arms race. Listen, just give me more leg room. Y'all providing Netflix and 20-inch flat screens to people, like, just give me more leg room. That's all we want. Like, the people sitting all the way up there are barely watching TV. Like, you feel me? If people as a standard flight are taking Delta One suites, they're not up there watching TV for the most part. They're probably, some people are. But some people probably reading. Some people probably, listen, I'll just say in those areas, and they ain't watching TV. They drinking. Misconduct allegation, Trump threatens. There's always going to be a Trump threat somewhere, right? Treasury yields are little changed as collapse Iran. Many Gen Z adults still get financial help from their parents. Listen, everybody needs all the help they can get. If you're a parent out there lending help to your child, listen, shout out to you. Berkshire Electric Utilities Corp. Yeah. Why pressure is mounting at BP. They're just talking about oil, gas, and Trump. Oil and Trump is the vibe. AI. How Kodak is trying to turn around a business after teetering on bankruptcy. Kodak could do a lot. I don't know what they're going to do, but listen, you're not fooling us, man. These companies be filing for bankruptcy all the time. Nearly half of Americans feel home ownership is impossible. That's because they're thinking they got to buy the home in 2 days. Slow down and realize, like, listen, this is not financial advice. All right. I already gave my disclaimers, but understand you have 30 years to buy the house. Your issue is you need to stay off Zillow looking for $4 million houses. You only make $16 an hour, right? If we're all making $16 an hour, yeah, look at the $4 million house, right? We all do it. That gives you the motivation that you need. But you're not buying it right now, right? You can still look after you buy your regular family house, your 2-3, for a house, your 3-bedroom, right? Get you a little 3-bedroom house. I ain't gonna say any other parameters, but 3-bedroom house so you and your kids could have somewhere to stay. As long as you get that paid off in 30 years, shouldn't feel impossible. The Super Mario Galaxy movie rockets to $629 million worldwide at the box office. Movies are so expensive. But add my little couple dollars in there. Because, yeah, we went to see that Mario movie. Other than that, that's all they talking about, chat. That's how we divide our time. We divide our time by the day, the week, the month, the year, the decade, the plan, right? Retirement, etc. You stay locked in. You stay locked in. That's it. That's all I really got for you today. Because now I got to lock in, right? People have awakened. I've been up for hours and hours. I'm not saying they weren't woke, but people starting to work. I've been working. So now it's time to get back to it. You feel me? Hopefully y'all did actually learn something today, but that's your financial entertainment. That's what your boy True got for you. So hopefully y'all enjoyed that. Shout out to the raid. Shout out to everybody coming through. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to everybody who always giving biddies, etc. I mess with y'all. Y'all real ones. And while we getting out of here, let's go find somebody to raid. Till next time, you already know. It's your boy True. Let's go. Y'all already know the vibes. You already know the vibes. Hey, listen. Let's go over there and check out the graveyard shift. Let's get it. Y'all might not see True all the time because, like I said, I'm trying to divide my time in so many ways. But I will say, the Mondays be fire. Go to YouTube, watch them VODs, chat. The Mondays be fire. Let's go.